This is a little bit different. This is reading a topographic map. Topographic talks about topography, which is how the land is shaped. Is it a mountain? Is it a valley? Is there a stream? Is it a plateau? Is it a cliff? Is it an ocean? What's going on? How do I read this if I just look at a map? Most maps, okay, there's Texas, there's Virginia, but it doesn't actually show you what the land is doing. So that's what a topographic map does. Now, first thing you got to know about topographic maps, contour lines. Okay, if this is the ocean, this is land. Okay, first thing you need to know, this map has one contour line on it. It is the edge of the island. Okay, if I'm standing right here, I'm on the land, like I'm on the beach, like a little beach island in the middle of the Pacific, right? This is the ocean. What is the elevation at the contour line?
Low.
It's low, but exactly what is it? It's sea level. And all elevation is based off sea level. We say, okay, Mount Everest is 20-something thousand feet above
Sea level.
sea level. Now, sea level can change, but all elevations are based off sea level. So if this is the ocean, here, this is land, what's the elevation at the beach? 0. This is 0. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let me draw another contour to this. Okay. I'm going to tell you for right now that the contour interval is 20 meters. Okay? So if this is 0, the contour interval is 20 meters. That means that this contour has to be 20 because there's, from here to here, the elevation rose 20 meters. So from here to here is 20 meters, from here to here is 20 meters, anywhere in here is 20 meters. So this line is 20. I'm sorry, I wrote that completely wrong. This line is 0, this line is 20. 20, 20, 0, 0, 0. You see how this works?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the possible range in here? Like, what is the elevation right there?
I don't know. Probably like 15 or 12.
It could be 15.
12.
It could be 12.
10.
It could be 10.
13.
You seeing how this works? It can be anything between 1 and 19.
20.
It can be anything between 1 and 19. Why? Because at the line, it's 0. This is where the 0 is. Here, it's 20. So anything between here could be anything from 1 to 19 in the range. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, does it make sense that the closer we get to 20, the higher the elevation is going to be?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so there's some basics here. The closer to the beach, the more your feet are going to get wet. The closer you're going to get to 0. All right. Let's draw another contour line. Okay. What's this contour interval going to be? I'm sorry. What's this contour going to be?
40.
40. Okay. You guys seen how this works?
Does elevation change when the circles?
Yeah, the elevation changes with each contour line. What changes with how close they are is how steep it is. Okay? So if I could even draw another one. Now this one's getting really close. This one even touches. Okay, now this one's going to be 60. Now I'm going to draw another one just for grands. This one's 80. Okay, so here we have, we're at the beach. We're walking up the beach. Okay, it's getting a little bit higher. Hiking up the beach. Off the beach, maybe we're on some rocks. We're at 20 meters, 40 meters. Now we're climbing a mountain. Is it going to be easier to get from the beach to 80 meters here, or to go from the beach to 80 meters here?
Left to right.
That was
Left to right.
Yeah, it'd be easier. Let's say this is north Okay, is it easier, gonna be easier from the east or the west?
It's gonna be easier from like.
From the west,
Oh,
right?
this one?
Yeah,
Because that's north.
like, you would have to find straight up. if you
Oh,
go
yeah,
there.
that's.
Okay, so it's gonna be easier from the west, simply because, well, think about it. I've got all this space to climb up to 80 meters. It might be a long hike. It might take me a lot longer to just do the walking, but it's gonna be walking up maybe a little bit of an incline. Over here, I hope you have mountain climbing equipment, right? Because where it gets really steep and where the lines touch, that's a cliff. You gotta go straight up. See, there's no space distance-wise to go straight up. That means it's a cliff. And here, it's gonna be really steep. So where the lines are steep, where the lines are close together, it gets really steep. Because you don't have as much space to go up. So that means the angle is gonna go really drastic. So you should be able to know stuff like, what would be an easier way to get to point B? Yeah, coming from the west, not from the east. Right? You should be able to look at a map and go, oh, that's an easy way to get there. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. So that is contour maps, basically. Moscato?
I'm trying to, when the line started, do you mean the mountain or?
Well, this is a mountain. This is an island in the ocean with a very steep mountain at one side. Very steep on one side and very gradual on the other side. Okay, I pulled this out of my head, right? This is nowhere in particular. Is that a question, Syed?
What about the inside of the last contour line?
What about the inside of the contour?
Yeah, the last
What, like
one.
in here?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good question. If, I'm gonna call this point X. You guys like X's, okay? Point X. What is the maximum elevation that point X can be?
Oh my goodness.
Well, it has to be more than 20, right?
90.
80.
Okay. The minimum, what's the minimum that it can be? Let's start there.
81.
Is it 80, 81, 80, 81? So I'm just gonna say 81 to what?
84.
What is it?
Above.
99. Because what would happen if I got to elevation 100?
Oh, yeah, you have to.
I'd have a spot with another contour line, wouldn't I? So it can't be elevation 100 because the contour interval is 20. So I know it has to be above 80 and I know it has to be less than 100. So it's between 81 and 99. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do has to be, minimum is 81, but I don't understand why it has to be.
The 80.
No, it has to be under 100.
I understand the question, I understand the
Okay. If I'm standing right here, okay, let me change my spot. I have to be above 60, but less than what? 80.
Oh,
Okay? If I'm here, I have to be above 80, but less than, wait, there's no more contour lines. The mountain just doesn't go any higher. If the mountain got up to 100, then I'd have to draw another contour line to show how tall the mountain is.
so this, you can say between 80 and 90 range.
Yeah, or 80 and
99.
99. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me teach you something else real quick. How do we figure out the contour interval? It's not always given to you. You have to know how to figure it out.
The interval is 20.
Is it always 20? No, it's not always 20. Sometimes it's 4. Common contour maps, you often have an interval of 4. Just standard. It's all about how big the map is, how zoomed in the map is. If you put more so if I had this at 20, that's a certain resolution, right? So if you want high def, I want the contour interval to be smaller. Because then I'm going to draw a whole bunch more lines to represent what's going on, and you can see even more clearly what's going on. So if I have a contour interval of 4, think of that as like super ultra high def. If I want like old TVs from the 80s, that'd be like 20, 50 contour intervals where it's much more spaced out. I don't know very much about what's going on this island other than a very gradual, a very sparse picture. So if I want to know a really detailed picture, I make that contour interval smaller, I draw a whole bunch more lines, and then you can see what's going on.
And the contour intervals, they represent distance.
They represent elevation.
How would you know?
Elevation. What was that?
How would you know the contour line distance?
How would I know the what contour?
Like, you know the contour interval,
Uh-huh.
like the CI? Like, how would you know that? I still don't get it.
How would I know that? I haven't told you.
Oh, I thought you just told me.
No, I haven't told you. Okay.
I guess.
We know, this is the basic way of looking at this, and I love the basic way because it makes sense, right, Jaya? Okay. What is, Jaya, what's the elevation of the beach again? If you're standing with your feet in the water and...
Zero.
Zero.
Sorry.
Okay. We know that the beach is zero, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If I draw this line, I'm going to call it 100. How would you figure out the contour interval? You have to do a little bit of addition subtraction. Yep.
You would count the lines and then divide that number by 100.
Yeah. Okay. We know that this line is 100. We know that this line is 0. So we can, we know what is the elevation change between these two lines. How much is the elevation change between these two lines?
100.
100, yeah, it's changed 100 meters. Okay? Well, if I want to know what each line is, I just have to do some simple division. How many spaces do I have? 5 spaces. You add up the difference, this number is the difference in elevation. This number is the number of spaces. What's the math say?
20.
20. 5 divided by 100 is 20. So the contour interval has to be 20. And then you do some quick math and check it. Okay, if the contour interval is 20, then this should work going 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. It works. Right? And you could do this with all kinds of numbers. What if I made this 200? Okay, then you're going to take, do the spaces change? The spaces don't change, but this changes. So what's the contour interval now? 40, right? So let's double check that. 40, 80, 120, 160, yeah, 200. Where's my brain? Okay. I didn't say I was a math teacher. Okay. This is how you get contour interval. If you did not just write this down on your paper, I would write it down. Knowing the difference in the elevation between 2 points divided by the number of spaces that are given will give you your contour interval. On your test, I haven't done a lot of, I've looked at the test, right? We, as all the earth science teachers, collaborate and make the test together. I didn't make this particular test, but I've looked at it. I don't even know what the questions are asking specifically, but we talked about making a test question to see if you could figure this out. So if you were a teacher, how would you test this? If I wanted to know, like if you're in my shoes and you're, all right, your name is now Mr. Cork, how do I give you a test? What question could I ask to see if you know this?
How high
So like
is
draw one of those maps.
I could give you a map.
Like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna,
Put it
yeah. Very good. I'm gonna give you a map and see if you can calculate it. Right, this isn't like memorize something. You have to know how to do the formula, but you have to not only know how to do the formula, you have to actually do the formula, right? Does that make sense? Does that sound fair? Christian, does that sound fair?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this is something I'm going to ask you to do. Have you guys written this down?
Yeah.
Okay, because I want to erase some stuff.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Got it?
I am thinking about giving you a vocab quiz. If I change my mind, don't feel upset.
Actually, on what? What have
On the mapping stuff.
Are you talking about today?
Oh no, not today. Okay, there's something else I want to show you. What if you have something like this? Okay, that's one very goofy looking hill, because all hills need to be goofy looking.
Oh, it's like.
So it's-
Oh, now this is gonna get fun. Alright, we have one of these on the worksheet, right? And I'll draw another one just for grants.
But
Okay.
on the worksheet, like the whole circle, like.
Yeah, but all of it's.
All these
Okay.
little lines sticking out.
Well, let's do some practicing here. Okay. What's the contour interval?
What you said?
What's the contour interval? It's 10.
Yeah.
I made it really easy this time because,
Yeah.
you know, as the teacher, I'm trying to get easy examples. Okay, there are 1, 2, 3 spaces. 30 minus 0 is 30. 30 divided by 3 is 10. Okay? Or 10, 20, 30.
Wait, but wouldn't it be 30 the space before that? Isn't it 30?
Zero, this is 0. This is 10. This is 20.
Oh, okay, we're going by line.
Okay? I changed the contour interval. Now it's 10. Okay, because the contour interval can change. What is the contour? Okay, so how do we do this one? What's this line?
Oh, wait.
It's
This
not-
one's 10. This one is also 10. We have two separate things going on here. Here we have a small hill. This is a 30-meter hill. All right, what's this next line?
20.
20.
No,
10. Oh, how'd you get that, Melanie?
It goes,
Ah, because you read the directions. Very good. This is called a depression. Okay, that's a 10. And if these dashes mean we have to start going downhill again, what's the next contour line?
5.
Zero.
0.
Yeah.
So here we're back to sea level.
It's like a pool.
Well, how did that get there?
Okay, now if we're talking how did stuff get there, we'll get through that into geology. What you could see here, this could possibly be the caldera of a volcano. Okay? A caldera is the like most volcanoes, a lot of volcanoes, we always show them like this.
Yeah.
Okay? This little depression, this bowl here, could be this. So we're seeing how this would look from a bird's eye view. So this could be a caldera of a volcano. So what we see is that elevation is rising and it goes all the way back down to sea level and then back up. Okay? This could be like some villain in a James Bond has his secret base of hiding here. I don't know. You know, I think weird stuff like that. So you gotta know how depressions work. Do you see how depressions work? Okay? Alright. We've talked about contour intervals. We've talked about contour maps. We've talked about the range. We've talked about depression. Okay, what else did we talk about? We can talk about rivers.
How do you define
Rivers. Okay, what if, here's some features. Let's talk about some features. What's this?
River.
This is a railroad. Okay. Now let's do something else fun. What if I have yeah, this is going to be a river. Alright, this is not bridge over the River Kwai.
Is there a cynical bridge?
Aha, here we go. Now, Mike, you don't take a class in college on how to draw on a whiteboard, so, sorry. Okay, what is this little squiggly line that goes under this bridge? It's a river. So here's something you should know about rivers, because you also might get asked questions. I saw, I didn't see this. I've heard that the SOL asks questions on, like this. What direction is this river flowing?
South.
South what?
Southwest.
Southwest, or southwesterly, south-southwest, right. southwesterly direction. How do you know that?
Because 30 is at the high point and it's going downward.
Good, good. I heard a couple people say that. 30, it's at the top of the mountain. Water does not flow uphill. Except once. Okay, water does not flow.
Where?
Well, it didn't really flow downhill. The Mississippi had a very large earthquake over 100 years ago, and then it changed the level of the water. The Mississippi literally flowed backwards for like 20 minutes to an hour. I'll have to check my date on that. I'm not sure, but it did happen.
Do you have a video on that?
Over 100 years ago. Okay, so water is flowing, just trust me, water flows downhill, okay? Water will flow downhill. What is going on with these contour lines? Why are these contour lines bending in toward the river? Erosion, right? Water, often, what do rivers often have around them? What do they cut? What are rivers cutting? They cut the rocks and it makes what kind of topographic shape? Starts with a V. Okay, here we go. That's it. Gonna have to do another hangman game.
Wait, hold on. Really quick. My hands
Okay,
Hey.
here we go. Does it have a V? It has a V. Okay, someone else raise their hand.
R.
No R.
E.
E.
It's a volcano.
Got an E. We have an A.
Valley.
L.
Valley.
It's a valley.
Oh, good job, valley. Okay. Rivers cut valleys. Valleys, when their rivers are V-shaped. So as this contour line kind of comes in, you can see almost that V shape in the valley. Okay, so whenever you see a river, you're going to see the valley cutting upstream, because it's always taking dirt from upstream and moving it downstream. So it's taking part of the mountain and depositing it down here. So we should, if that's true, we should see that part of the mountain is disappearing. Whoop! The line, I would expect it to be here, the contour line. It's not. This material has been removed. It's now down here. So thus, we can tell, these are kind of, show us how rivers move. Okay, Donald, then Syed.
You may have to
Yes, ma'am. Syed?